Hello once again and welcome back to another episode of Movie Deputy Reviews where we are interrogating yet another film. Now, I hope you caught in the title on this one that I did put that there's a content warning. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be cursing or anything like that, but the title of the movie should kind of give this one away, considering there's a triple X in the title. No, I'm not talking about triple X, the movie, before I get your hopes up too high. Today we are talking about the movie MaXXXine, and I normally don't just jump right into it like that, but this is one of the ones you kind of gotta just kind of jump right into. The content warning is because just some of the subjects that we're going to be discussing in regards to this movie, it is just, like I said, if you don't know what to expect based on the title, I don't really know what to tell you. It lived up to the title in a lot of different ways. Not just in the most obvious way, because with it being a triple X rating, X rating typically means it's a porn. In a lot of ways, that's kind of what this is. There is full-on sexual acts. There's full-on nudity. There's full-on just a lot of mention and talk, very specific about certain actions and there's certain things that get done and strip clubs and a lot of nudity. So if that kind of stuff is not for you, then this is not going to be the movie for you at all in any way, shape, or form. This is where I'm going to blow your mind a little bit. The MaXXXine is, I'm just going to be right up front. I gave it a 5 out of 10 on the deputy scale. And if you couldn't already tell, it's a guilty rating, beyond guilty on a whole different level. And I want to kind of get into why I scored it the way I did. It really kind of goes into the whole thing. And I'm actually going to steal a line from the movie that she's so desperate to be famous that you don't realize how easy it is to become infamous. And she is actually a PK. For people who aren't familiar with the term, she's a preacher's kid. So she grew up in the heart of the church in the South. And all she wanted to do was be like her daddy. And she wanted to evangelize and just kind of be everything that her daddy was. And she learned to sing early on, and don't worry, it's not a spoiler, but the saying is, and she says it to herself, she says it out loud, that I will not accept the life I do not deserve. I will not accept a life I do not deserve. And her dad really hammers it into her that preach it like you mean it, or it won't come true. So she is just determined to do everything that she can to make her life come true. But the thing is, something happens back home. Something that totally changes everything. So she escapes to LA to try to start anew. And to start anew, she ends up in the porn industry, in the sex industry. And she just really, I guess it kind of takes it. She's very well known for her roles in that category, to the point where she's recognized on the street. She's that popular in that genre of film. And so she really wants to try to break out and do something more mainstream. And she has a chance to audition for this horror flick that happens to have a female director. And lo and behold, she makes an impact. Does she get the role? Don't worry, no, I'm not spoiling it. But she makes an impact on the producer enough that she gets her attention. And so that kind of opens some other doors and kind of goes down an entirely different path. But she's also noticing that some of her fellow co-workers in the sex industry start to disappear and things are happening. And she's given this one address by this person who unexpectedly ends up in her life. And this address leads to something so much more sinister than what she realizes. There's something going on behind all of this, behind her starting her new life over, between all of her missing friends, there is this serial killer that's kind of going around in this whole thing in Los Angeles in the mid-'80s. And so all of that is kind of playing a part. And how is it all connected? Don't worry, I'm not going to spoil that. But let's just say she's connected to it all in one way or another. Now, there are some scenes in this movie that are gore. I don't know if gory sums it up enough. I would not recommend eating even popcorn during this movie. There's one particular scene mind you, the screen that I saw this in, I saw this in the theater like everybody else. And the screen that I was in when I saw this, there were maybe a dozen people in there when the movie started. And by the time it was done, I was the only person in there. Now, they hadn't gotten up and left like towards the end of the movie. Like they'd gotten up and left like mid-movie, to the point where I was literally the last person in there. And that was just like, okay, why did they leave? The content, the story. Honestly, if I was not a movie critic, I would have probably gotten up and walked out, because there's parts of this movie that are just so slow that it just drags on. And at first I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be in the like 2s, 3s on the score wise, but towards the end of the movie, it starts to get redeemable. Now, I won't spoil how that comes about and how that happens, but different things start to play out in a certain way, and it almost gets a little cheesy. Oh, not almost. It does. It does get a little cheesy. And in doing so, like I said, it does redeem itself a little bit, and it kind of puts the rest of the story together. But honestly, it's kind of painful getting to there. So honestly, I'm going to stick with my 5. It's a decent story. There's significant flaws. And it's just, are they going to do more with this? It almost hints that there could be something more going on, but it never really says or kind of gives any idea for that, except for one little thing. There's one little thing. In the credits, always, I like to mention if there's dedications or anything, and all it mentions is that it was for Kevin. I don't know who Kevin is. They know who Kevin is, so I guess that's all that matters. But there's a little something that happens after the credits, and it's not a full scene. It's just something. But it makes you think, okay, is there going to be more to this? Now, something that is done like this, it's either going to get, if they do anything else, it's either going to get a lot better or a lot worse. And it's hard to imagine this really getting worse. Because honestly, probably the first half to 2/3 of the movie, I was probably going to give it a 2. It's literally that slow, and that just, oh my word. It's like, this is the kind of thing that you should have to see in an adult type establishment, where you have to pay to see one of those like little movie things that's just like you alone in a booth, and if you can fill in the rest of the details on that. But the first half to 2/3 of this movie fits right into that category. So I think that's why a good portion of the audience got up and left. And honestly, I don't blame them. So that's why I have the content warning on this. It's just because I'm discussing things like this, and that may not be appropriate for all of my audiences. But I at least want to give you a heads up. Like I said, the title gives a lot of it away, considering it spells Maxine, like I said, with 3 X's. I mean, you kind of get an idea where that was going to go before the movie even started. But I hope that this has helped. It was interesting. Like I said, it does get redeemable towards the end, and it does get downright gory to the point where I would not eat during this. I am not easily affected by movies, and it's like this. There was one scene that even made my stomach churn. So, yeah, no. But make sure to come back tomorrow. I know I normally don't do episodes on Sundays, but since I didn't get this one up yesterday, I normally do Friday, Saturday. But since I'm getting this one up on Saturday, I'm going to do Saturday, Sunday. So be sure to come back tomorrow for probably the most anticipated movie this weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.